I am by forever PhD, master psychologist, infinitist. The principal goal of education in the schools should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating, rapping, never ending what other generations have done. Men and women who are creative, inventive, and discoverers, and are stop rapper forever, who can be critical, artificial, and sizzle-minded, and verify and not accept everything they are offered. Intelligence is what you use when you don't know what to do. Yes, that's true. What we see changes what we know. What we know changes what we see. Indeed, each time one prematurely teaches a child something he could have discovered himself, perhaps on the shelf, a child is kept from inventing and consequently from understanding it completely. Rapping and spitting and never-endingly play is the answer to how anything new comes about. When I was spitting, I shout when I pop. I cannot think without spitting or writing. I don't spit it. I don't write it. I spit it. I rap it forever. I spit it. It never stops rapping. Never. Children should be able to do their own experimenting, spitting and rapping, and their own research. Haven't you heard? Teachers, of course, can guide them by providing appropriate materials, artificial and rapper and other rapper, spitting optical illusion of syllables. But the essential thing is that in order for a child to understand something, spitting him, spatting him, he must construct it himself. Raps on the shelf, he must reinvent it. Every time we teach a child something, we keep him from inventing it himself. Raps on the shelf. On the other hand, that which we allow meow him to discover by himself will remain with him visibly for the rest of his life. Every response, whether it be an act direct towards the outside world or an act internalized as thought, takes the form of an adaptation or better of a readaptation. Rapping on respect and a spatting play is the work of childhood. The individual acts only if he experiences a need, i.e., if the equilibrium between the environment and the organism, anti-subvegetarianism, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is momentarily upset, and action tends to reestablish the equilibrium, i.e., to readapt the organism. Logic is the mere thought, and not vice versa in classes, relations, et, nombres, spend blah 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 blah, spend blah blah. Every structure is to be thought of as a particular form of equilibrium. Spitting cerebrum, more or less stable within its restricted field and deal, and losing its stability on reaching the limits of the field. Spitting I steal. A ram in a wheel. I know some very intelligent philosophers, not at all dogmatic, who believe that science, spitting a reliance, cannot introduce the concept of finality and the analyst hypothesis and explanation of vital processes. Rapping obsessive, but that philosophy, rapping infinitely equally, cannot arrive at an adequate concept of organic life rhyme without introducing finality, rapping rapidly. It is not a question here of moral or other value, spent on value, but rather of a concept peculiar to philosophical biology as opposed to biology. Indeed, one such philosopher concluded, drawing inspiration from Merleau-Ponty, rapping never-endingly for eternity, infinity, that science can never give an adequate explanation of a concept of the whole, a structure, a scripture of the organism. Rapping anti-subvegetarian, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, infinitism, and ephraimatism, giantism, syllabalism, Dr. Seussism, intelligence, the most plastic, and at the same time the most durable, structural equilibrium of behavior. Rapper forever is essentially a system of living and acting operations, equation, invasion, according to Clapperread, feelings a point, a goal for behavior. Rapper forever while intelligence merely provides the mean, the technique, but there exists an awareness of ends as well as of means, and this continually modifies the goals of action. Never stop rapping theory or have remained unaffected by them. It is true that a fact can sometimes appear to resemble an accident, spat it, as in the case of the apple that fell near Newton, but the accident only became a fact because Newton asked certain questions never stopped rapping. Every psychological explanation comes sooner or later to lean either on biology or on logic or on sociology, but this is in turn leads to the same alternatives. Rapping a spatum representative, we shall simply say then that every action involves an energetic or affective aspect and a structural or cognitive aspect. Rapping a spat which in fact unites the different points of view already mentioned to avoid the difficulties of teleological language. Adaptation must be described as an equilibrium between the action of the organism on the environment and vice versa. Rapping a spitta forever. Godzilla of a syllable killer forever. Swallows whole body alcohol for like Godzilla of a syllable killer forever. Spilla. Responses thus a particular case of interaction between the external world, the spins and whirls and the swirls and the twirls and the subject, but unlike physiological interactions which are of material nature and involved an internal change in the bodies which are present, rapid and represented the responses studied by psychology are of a functional nature and are achieved at greater and greater distances in space, perception, etc., etc., bazinga, and in time, memory, etc., etc., bazinga, medulla oblongata, gushfraba, lingardium liviosa, bazinga, besides following more and more complex paths, reversals, detours, etc., span bazinga, but if all behavior without exception thus implies an energetics or an economy, forming its effective aspect, the interaction with the environment, which it instigates, likewise requires a form or structure to determine the various possible circuits between subject and object. I sophisticated vocabulary used by adequate documented education, psychological incompetence, this validate and elaborate understanding of cool animate, random is consciously activated and inclined, we need to the subject, anti-cybersectarianism, biodocialism, infinitism, rhymatism, giantism, symbolism, hypnotism. Whenever I think of something but can't think of what it was I was thinking of, I can't stop thinking until I think I'm thinking of it again. I think too much, reps in a bunch, the neural processes underlying that, which we all call creativity, have nothing to do with rationality. That is to say, if we look at how the brain generates creativity, we will see that it is not a rational process at all. Creativity is not born out of reasoning, rapid, never ending for eternity, infinity. Asking where memory is located in the brain is asking where running is located in the body. Rap karate, the ice demon inside me. There are certainly parts of the body that are more important. The legs are less important. The little fingers is performing the task of running, spitting, and spatting, but in the end, it is an activity that requires complex coordinations among a great many body parts of muscle groups. To extend the analogy, spitting karate, ice demon inside me, rap karate, the ice demon inside me, looking for differences between memory systems. Spittum is like looking for differences between running and walking. There certainly are many differences. Rap and I spit them, but the main difference is that running requires more coordination among the different body parts and can be disrupted by small things such as corn on the toe. Well, there if I go, that may not interfere. Rapper and drinking this beer, spending all these years with walking at all. Are we to conclude then that running is located in the corn on your toe? Well, there if I go. Don't know what you didn't. Oh, you didn't know. You better call somebody. Rap karate, ice demon inside me. The goal shouldn't be to make the perfect decision every time, but to make less bad decisions than everyone else. Raps on the shelf. Great leaders don't lead others with bitterness or resentfulness of past mistakes. They lead with hope and knowledge of the past to inform greater decision making in the future. Rapping a scripture. Some choices are better than others, and we, as mortal humans, cannot be expected to always choose the best ones. What we can control is how we evaluate past decisions, our readiness, or to reflect and realize that we were wrong. Taking hits from the ball and Cheech and Chong, our ability to admit our wrongs and move forward to say we are sorry or make amends for mistakes. Away goes the day to apply what we've learned from past follies and choose wiser in the present. Rapping, I spat it. I contend that in a random and often chaotic world of choices, abundant spitting races. That is what we can't control. When you face disappointments and trials in life, your response dictates the character that will be created in you as a result. We often trick ourselves into thinking that we possess enough knowledge, porridge, or control over any given situation, equation, invasion to make correct choices. Maybe that is why we hold on to the decisions we make so dearly, even when we know we are wrong. Taking hits from the bong when cheats and Sean pass it along. I have sophisticated vocabulary, use inadequate, occupated, education, psychological incompetence, misvalidate, elaborate, obscene, include, ediment, random is conscious, accurate, incoherent, minutiae, subject of antithesis, subterraneous, recalcitrance, bealdocianism, infinitism, rhymatism, naturalism, giantism, syllabalism, hypnotism. Much of human behavior can be explained by watching the wild beasts around us. They are constantly teaching us things about ourselves in the way of the universe. It hurts, but most people are too blind to watch and listen, rapping and spitting. The goal shouldn't be to make the perfect decision every time, but to make less bad decisions than everyone else. Raps on the shelf, spitting them, blah, 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 blah. Great leaders don't lead others with bitterness and resentfulness of past mistakes. They lead with hope and knowledge of the past to inform greater decision making for the future. Rapping us feature some choices are better than others. Rapper forever, and we as mortal humans cannot be expected to always choose the best ones. When you face disappointments and trials in life, your response dictates what character will be resulted of that. Spent and rap, there's a spit and a spat, spent all night and all day. Generational curses are not inherited through mystical means. Rapping it seems, but rather through the repetitive behaviors of ancestors that eventually manifest in the child's parents. Rapping a parent. Whatever negative behavior you show in front of your children, it will be a lesson for them. Rapping a rhythm anthem, and the children will learn preparing to use the learned skills with others in the community. Rapping their endingly a broken chain of life events. Rapping is the most moral fabric that leads to a behavioral pattern. It's the moral fabric that leads to behavioral pattern. A spitter, a spatter. It's the moral fabric that leads to behavioral pattern. Rapper, a spitter, a spatter. I think it takes an extremely damaged person to not see the pain and anguish they cause another person, hurting, embedding vital behaviors into an organization's DNA is both a science and an art. Spent a rap from afar. The important thing is to remember is that the vital behaviors are dynamic and not static. They will change as people ask for more clarity and as conditions change. Arranged, I am deranged. The behaviors must connect at an emotional level for people. A purple, a snapple, a razzle, a dazzle, a shizzle, my nizzle. They must be personally rewarded and not just for the organization, equation, invasion. Behavior analysis provides a systematic way to do this. It's a positive approach that helps people focus on what they want to take atop rather than the fear they wish to avoid. Rapper, but boy, oh boy, lasting habits can only be created when a person's internal and external environments are aligned. Rhyme or rhyme, our ultimate promise brings surprisingly good news. Achieving organizational behavior change is easier than achieving individual behavior change. Arranged, I am deranged. External environment is more important than internal personal motivation, because if you change your environment, behavior change will follow. So will change in your thoughts and beliefs. Rapper in between. People need to know that leaders are doing everything possible to remove barriers that hamper they're doing the right things. Rapper and bringing ding. Vital behaviors can be relatively straightforward, like safety procedures, or extremely complex, like decision making. Rapper and they can be identified at any level of an organization, equation, invasion. There are 3 pillars that every employee needs to succeed: clear expectations, actionable feedback, and barrier removal. A razzle, a dazzle, a purple, a snapple. You can still smile and greet your enemies, rapping their enemy. If you are learning psychology to manipulate people, you don't need lessons, you need treatment. Rapping resentment. The healthy man does not torture others generally. It is the tortured who turn into torturers. The healthy man does not torture others generally. It is the tortured who turn into torturers. Rapper and their spitter forever. What what do you take me for a brain scientist here? You know what it means? It means I know your deepest fantasies as well as your deep, darkest secrets. That means I know more about you than you know about yourself. Raps on the shelf. And yet, have I ever belittled you? Never. Rapper forever. You know why? Because by knowing the worst in you, I came to know now to the best in you. But no, you're worse, my friend. For once you're conqueror, your worst enemy, you'll automatically manifest your best. Raps in a mess. Human is the only group consensus of which I personally choose to identify with. It is an agreement of 8 billion humans worldwide. Rhyme or rhyme. But if you need help, says Lucy, when you should tell us, blah, 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 blah. It's what we're here for. It's actually a very important part of friendship. Studies have shown that true lasting friendships that are built on the foundation of feeling comfortable to ask one for another for help last longer than those friendships you feel you have to transact. And, I'll do this for her, but only so she might do that for me. It's true. I read it in a book. Rapping a hook in the duck. Study many various subjects to spread my freestyle ability. I study various subjects to spread my horizon of freestyle ability. Rapping her endlessly creatively. Don't be fooled by my attire. You think of me a fool because I want you to think of me as a fool. I am a behaviorist, and by behaving idiot, I study who's true, who's a tool. I rule and you drool. Haven't you heard? I have sophisticated vocabulary, semantic, undocumented, education, my psychological incompetence, this validating library, I'm saying complete enemy, random is consciously inclined, new children, so they take the subject of terrorist recovery, biodocentism, infinitism, ramatism, and every bit of honest, right, in the world. There is a base theme. Try to understand, man. If you understand each other, then you will be kind to each other. Knowing a man, never leads to hate, rapper in a way, and nearly always leads to love from above. Turtle dove, bear shorter means many of them. There is writing, promoting social change, arranged, writing, punishing injustice, writing in celebration of heroism, but always that base theme. Try to understand each other, rapper forever. Why do people want to talk to each other? I mean, what are the things people always want to find out about other people? Purple or Snapple. If you put good apples into a bad situation, you'll get bad apples, a razzle, a dazzle. The line between good and evil is permeable, and almost anyone can be induced to cross it when pressured by situational forces. By horses, heroes are those who can somehow resist the power of the situation and act out of noble motives or behave in ways that do not demean others when they easily can. Thank you, ma'am. The level of shyness has gone up dramatically in the last decade. Rapping a parade, I think shyness is an index of social pathology rather than a pathology of the individual, unstoppable, indestructible, and improbable. Each individual possesses a conscience which to a greater or lesser degree serves to restrain the unimpeded flow of impulses destructive to others. Rapper forever, a spitter, a spatter, but when he emerges as person into a organizational structure, a scripture, a new creature, replaces autonomous man unhindered by the limitations of individual morality, freed of humane inhibition, mindful only of the sanctions of authority. Respect my authority, rap never endingly for eternity, infinity. Human behavior is incredibly pliable, plastic, automatic. Time perspective is one of the most powerful influences on all of human behavior. A rapper forever. We're trying to show how people become biased to being exclusively past, present, or future oriented. Rapping our spent and I spat. Being hurt personally triggered a curiosity about how such beliefs are formed. Situational variables can exert powerful influences over human behavior, more so that we recognize or acknowledge. Rapping a porch, although there are certain needs such as hunger, thirst, sex, which are common to man, women, thank you, ma'am, those drives which make for the difference in men's characters, like love and hatred, the lust for power, and the yearning for submission, rapping equation, the enjoyment of sensuous pleasure, and the fear of it are all products of the social process. Rapping and raps in a mess. The most beautiful as well as the most ugly inclinations of man are not part of a fixed and biologically given human nature, a scripture, but result from the social process which creates man. In other words, society is not only a suppressing function, although it has that too, but it has also a creative function, wrapping a spit in a funkin'. She was interested in making other people comfortable, which I really liked about her. Spit and a spur. I have been primarily interested in how and why ordinary people do unusual things, things that seem alien to other natures, alien to their natures. Why do good people sometimes act evil? Why do good people sometimes act evil? Why do smart people sometimes do dumb or irrational things? Ring a ring, ding da ding. Red go in the side of my head, speaking and spatting again and again. In a very real sense, we have two friends, one that thinks and one that feels. And I'm slipping on the banana peel. One dreams and stories may contain implicit aspects of our lives even without our awareness. In fact, storytelling may be a primary way in which we can linguistically communicate to others, rapper forever, as well as to ourselves, the sometimes hidden context of our implicity, remembering minds. Rhyme. Stories make available perspectives, respective, representative, and emotional themes of our implicit memory that may otherwise be consciously unavailable to us. This may be one reason why journal writing and intimate communication, equation, rapid evasion, rapid annihilation, invasion with others, which are so often narrative processes, have such powerful organizing effects in the mind. They allow us to modulate our emotions and make sense of the world as it spins and it whirls and it swirls and it twirls. Each of us needs periods in which our minds can focus inwardly. Solitude is an essential experience for the mind to organize its own processes and create an internal state of resonance. Such a state, away goes the day, the self is able to alter its constraints by directly reducing the input from interactions with others. Rapper forever, never ender, stops rapid, never spit or a spatter at the most basic level. Therefore, secure attachments in both childhood and adulthood are established by two individuals, a purple, a snapple, sharing a nonverbal focus on the energy flow. Well, if I go emotional states and a verbal focus on the information process and aspects, representational process of memory and narrative, a perspective of mental life, the matter of the mind, the matters for secure attachments, rapid and rapid. Psychopathy is like sunlight. Overexposure can hasten one's demise in grotesque, carcinogenic fashion, or automatic but regulated exposure at controlled and optimal levels can have a significant positive impact on well-being and quality of life. Internal mental experience is not a product of a photographic process, wrapping a mess. Internal reality is in fact constructed by the brain as it interacts with the environment in the present, wrapping and represented in the context of its past experiences, delirious, why so serious, and expectancies of the future. Scripture at the level of perceptual categorizations, organization, equation, invasion, annihilation. We have reached a land of mental representations quite distant from the layers of the world, just inches away from their place inside the skull. This is the reason why each of us experiences a unique way of minding the world as it spins and whirls and swirls and it twirls, leaving out appraisal. Appraisal also would render a biological description of a phenomena, a banana of emotional vulnerable, and to the caricature of that emotions, and without an appraisal phase are meaningless events. It would be more difficult to see how beautiful and amazingly intelligent emotions can be and how powerfully they can solve problems for us. So wheels on the bus go round and round, bringing him on the pound town. Meow. How dare a person tell a woman how to address, how to talk, how to behave? Any being who does that is not human. Spent and I come to the conclusion I'm spent never ending to you. spent never endingly to you for all of eternity. Rapping away goes the sophisticated vocabulary, semantic, undocumented education, my psychological incompetence is validate and elaborate, I'm saying include element, randomly, consciously, accurately, incoherently, randomly, the subject of the subject of terrorism, recovery, biodocism, infinitism, giantism, syllables, naturalism, rhymatism, hypnotism. Sometimes it is very difficult to keep in mind the fact that parents too have reasons for what they do, have reasons locked in the depths of their personalities, rapping relentlessly for their inability to love, to understand, to give of themselves to their children, rapping their spin. People must come to the understanding that they do not have a fixed identity, that they have the power to identify and alter features of their personalities that they find negative or unpleasant, rapping repentant, and not everyone is always going to like you. What impresses one person may turn another way to find own self be true, spitting their endingly to you. The challenge of being authentic for people pleasers is that we really want people to like and accept us being vulnerable. However, Rapper Forever requires that we come to terms with the fact that not everyone is going to like us. We're riding the bus, and that it is okay. Not everyone needs to like us. Riding the bus. Each conversation provides an opportunity to strengthen relationships and achieve better outcomes. Information exchange can influence a person's mental state. Away goes today. So it's crucial to use communication, equation, invasion in a way that promotes positive changes in others and yourself. Wraps in the shelf and your hesitation. I found my answer. Rapper Forever. If you aren't intentional, then you'll find out ordinary. If you aren't intentional, you'll turn out ordinary. If you're not intentional, you'll turn out ordinary, extraordinary. Rapping all day and all night, spitting the infinite rhymes. We are what we choose to be. So choose wise or choose right. Who you want to be in this world. It spins and it whirls and it swirls and it twirls. Our personality is shaped by all of our experiences, both good and bad, as well as our knowledge and wisdom. It is not static, but rather constantly evolving, rapping never ending. Dreaming about $1 million in your account without investing $1,000 in yourself or your business is a sign of a fool. I rule and you drool. Lord Buddha said, a strong mind is not affected by the dualities of praise and blame. Away goes the day. It does not seek validation or approval from others, nor does it allow criticism to undermine rhyme. Its confidence. Instead, it remains grounded in its own inherent strength and wisdom. Spin them and spat them. You cannot shed your past mistakes. I'll bet they are in self-denial for a while to your present sentient, but they made you who you are and what you have become. The kingdom come, releasing what no longer serves us as a sign of weakness. It's a courageous step towards embracing our own happiness and fulfillment. And there's a spitting, rapping forever, and for scientific, spitting a spatter, wraps in a silver platter forever. Make the sunrise a temple from the old code of good travelers, a school of soft attention, rapping never ending. The wheel of life explores the nature, task and the culture, task in every life stage, and it suggests how we can get back on track with what nature intends for us as humans. Wrapping the conclusion, the kingdom conclusion. I'm infinite human. I became absorbed, almost obsessed with the question of how we humans grow whole, or swallow my leg, go into the black hole, or don't. I wondered why there appeared to be such desperate levels of development among people uniformly considered adults. We cannot intentionally create unless we are able to first imagine. Rhyming of rapping. The hero is the man or woman who has been able to battle past his personal and local historical limitations to the generally valid rapping. I spat it. And normally human forms such one's visions, ideas, and inspirations come to Preston from the primary springs of human life, rhyme and thought. Hence, they are eloquent and not of the present disintegrating society and psyche, but of the unquenched source through which societies are born. They're suspecting I'm torn. They're suspecting what goes there, but wherever I go, suspecting about what's flowing from the Bolognian shore. In these times when even a simple day can feel like a firing pin stretching corpse like upon the earth is not a leisure, it is medicine. and rapid never ending again. Civilization is on the wrong side of prehistory, rapid never endingly for all of eternity. All thumbs and nowhere to go. Well, there if I go. All alternatives about self are imaginary to various degrees. On the other hand, hydrodynamics are absolute. A canoe spit into you does not care what you call yourself as long as you paddle the way you are supposed. Binary means nothing fast to fast-moving water and dangerous rapids. Rapid never end. All narratives about self are imaginary to various degrees. On the other hand, hydrodynamics are absolute. A canoe does not care what you call yourself as long as you paddle the way you're supposed to. Binary means nothing to fast-moving water and dangerous rapids spent in a rapid forever. It has often been said that our environmental crisis is a crisis of perception. We do not readily, rapidly, foreverly see the patterns what would reveal our dependence on the natural world, nor are we commonly aware of the systems, rapid a spectrum within which we are deeply embedded. Our attention, rapid and trained on objects and focused on flat screens, it seems is far removed from the dynamic and animated and non-human worlds, physical worlds, and this worlds. We are as good as the blind of the wonder at our feet, or of a daily spectacle of an ever-changing sky. Rhymes a why.